Welcome to eTeacher Pakistan webinar series. Under the eTeacher Plus for Pakistan program, eTeacher webinar series has been launched. So let's talk about the eTeacher program first. eTeacher program provides professional development opportunities to English language teachers and learners across Pakistan. These opportunities are provided through online courses, that is global online courses, massive open online courses, webinar series, and then engaging the alumni into lots of productive activities. The program is fully funded by the Regional English Language Office at the US Embassy Islamabad, and in Pakistan, it is implemented by Evolution. If you wish to gain more information about the program, please follow Relo Pakistan on Facebook, or you can visit www.evolution.com.pk/eteacher for more information. Today, we are broadcasting eTeacher Pakistan Webinar Series 2.3, in which we'll be talking about benefits of digital learning methods during COVID-19 crisis. To present on this topic, we have with us today Tariq. Tariq works at Mari Petroleum Higher Secondary School in Tariq, Sindh. He has done his master's in English literature from University of St. Jamshoro. He has extensive experience of being an English language teacher that includes his experience in teaching at English Access Micro Scholarship Program, being part of SPELT, and other training programs such as PGCC in Advanced Professional Studies. He is an alumni of the eTeacher program, in which he did a course on Introduction to Pedagogy and Practices of TESOL from University of Oregon in the United States. In addition to that, Tariq also got an opportunity to visit the United States on IBLP program, which enabled him to attend TESOL 2019 International Convention in Atlanta, USA. This program was fully sponsored by the US Embassy Islamabad Regional English Language Office. So let's talk about today's objectives. It's very important for us to understand the difference between traditional teaching methods, that is face-to-face training, teaching and learning, and digital teaching and learning. As of today, when schools are still shut in most part of the world and in Pakistan as well, the teachers need to redefine their teaching techniques. They have to redefine the methods they have been using in face-to-face training, because digital training is different than face-to-face training, of course. Tariq is first going to highlight the difference between these two methods of teaching and learning, and then he's going to walk you through how rapidly classrooms are changing. Even when we are going to go back post-COVID to our classrooms, it will not be the same. So Tariq is going to walk you through some of the benefits of digital learning that you can use even when your schools open up. And of course, towards the end, he's going to talk about the role of the teacher, which is really important. When you talk about digital teaching and learning, the role of a teacher is redefined. You know, there are so many other things that you have to ensure while teaching online, because you don't have your students in the classroom. You cannot feel the warmth. You cannot make them comfortable with your presence in the classroom. It's very important for teachers to understand their redefined role in the world of digital teaching.
Thank you so very much, Sidra. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and a warm welcome to all the viewers of today's webinar, which is about the benefits of digital learning methods, especially during COVID-19 crisis. And everybody knows that this is the talk of town these days. So before I begin my talk, I would say that I am extremely grateful to Regional English Language Office at the US Embassy Islamabad for providing me this opportunity to share my views and interact with the teacher community across Pakistan and across the world as well. So thank you so very much for providing me this opportunity. So now let's get started. The very first thing that I would discuss is the difference between digital and traditional learning. Okay. When we talk about digital learning, so it is an instructional practice that ultimately helps students where it makes use of a broad range of technology-enhanced educational strategies, like including blended learning. We can also talk about flipped learning as well. Then it also caters personalized learning as well, and all other strategies that rely on digital tools. So here the definition says that digital learning means technology enhanced learning. Okay, and describes a set of technology mediated methods that support students learning, which is something very important in this case, and can include elements of all types of assessments. We can also talk about tutoring and all types of instructions as well. So it clearly means that it is all about a kind of learning that takes place by utilizing digital tools in both learning and teaching practices. Now let's discuss the traditional learning method. Traditional learning involves a teacher, a brick and mortar facility, which is usually a school or a classroom, where a group of students gather together at this facility during specific periods of the day, where they learn from the teacher or teachers. Which may also include all types of paper-based assignments and exams that we normally have in Pakistani contests. So that is how we can say that the traditional learning takes place in a classroom setting, where a teacher or a trainer who moderates and regulates all kinds of, gives all kinds of information and knowledge, which is the part and partial element in Pakistan and across the world in many countries. And digital learning is accompanied by technology that makes effective use of digital tools, whereas traditional learning, known as conventional or customary education, that generally refers to long established customs which are being used generally in our schools. But here, the COVID-19 crisis in Pakistan have changed the overall setup of this conventional style of learning to technology-based learning. Means there is a sudden shift, there is a sudden change, okay, from conventional to technology-based learning. All right. Though in Pakistan, it is quite a new concept in general, uh, but but educationists, are trying their best to cope up with and putting their efforts not to hamper the academic activities in Pakistan. Next. Yes, now let's discuss the transition or a changeover that the teachers and students are experiencing in Pakistan because of this COVID-19 crisis scenario. So the very first thing is that I have noticed is that digital learning is promoting research. And this is the biggest change that we have in our teaching and learning process. Because now while something is being taught, both teachers and students have quick access to, research and get relevant ideas which are being shared like during Zoom classrooms or Zoom sessions. For example, during my online sessions, students normally share their, searched ideas as well now, which help them to expand their horizons. So, which is something really, great. Which is something really, a different type of a thing which has been added in our teaching and learning process. So, so the element of quick research, has become the part of teaching and learning process. Now, the second thing is all about active learning. Okay, it also brings a lot of active learning amongst the students, as they have a quick access of net for their research and share their thoughts relevant to the particular topic instantly, which is a bit difficult in traditional or conventional classroom methods. Why? Because they are not able to do research work in traditional classroom practices, because they don't have gadgets and tools, or they don't have internet connectivity in a traditional classroom environment. So this is a change. This is a change that I feel, and it brings a positive approach in teaching and learning process. The next is all about student-centered learning. Um, since we have discussed the active approach of learning, so it also promotes student-centered learning, which is also known as learner-centered education. That broadly, covers methods of teaching that shifts the focus of instructions from the teacher to the student. For example, an idea which is really difficult to grasp for students. So in certain situations, the students can be asked to serve a few of the relevant ideas on their own for sharing their understanding, which surely promotes student centered learning, and ultimately, it helps students to experience different other things like integration and collaboration during the digital classroom process. The next idea is all about integration that I have already mentioned. So like integrated approach allows students to engage in purposeful and relevant learning, in which students are active learners who can research. They can also interpret and communicate over their peers. And this integrated approach ensures the harmonious functioning of the educational process for more effective learning. So here in this situation, we can say that it is not only the different websites and that could be used, but now we have tools like WhatsApp. Now, because this tool also helps us share documents for teaching and learning purposes. Let me share my experience, like during the initial stages when the schools were closed, and the teachers and students both were worried, and it was the end of the session, and all students were summing up and finalizing their studies for the final exams. So at that time, I took an initiative and started to get in touch with my students through WhatsApp broadcast, in which I used to send them different MCQs, worksheets to solve, even some questions to answers as well. And in some of the situation, I was sending them uh, composition tasks as well, which they were supposed to share after taking snapshots. And students were sending their assignments within the time period allocated to them. So there was an element of ease which students actually experienced, as they had free will to accomplish their tasks whenever they felt comfortable to do. So it was truly an eye-opening situation for me. And here I would say that it was indeed a very first experience of mine to experience digital learning and teaching. And I would say that it was truly amazing and a successful experience of my teaching career. Then we can talk about collaboration. Okay, so when we talk about collaborative learning. So this approach accelerates and enhances learning through working together, and give more active engagements for learners to process and to synthesize information and concepts rather than using rote memorization of facts and figures. When there is research and active learning, integrated and collaborative approaches are there, so automatically it promotes higher order thinking skills, which is a cognitive skill involving analysis, evaluation, synthesis, judgment, and of course, the creativity as well, and take students to go beyond, okay, rather than simply memorizing facts. Um, and once the above mentioned skills become the part of learning, so positive interdependence is experienced that promotes a cooperative and caring learning in which students work together. They become even supportive as well and encourage each other to learn and get the desired result which they actually want. And this is the ultimate thing. And that ultimate thing is the success, okay, which is the actual outcome that we want in teaching and learning process. So there will be a quick outcome that digital learning promotes. So here we can say that though COVID-19 crisis have brought many difficulties and problems across the world, all positive changes have become the part of teaching and learning process because of digital learning. So I am pretty sure that the transition that has taken place in education system has actually broadened our horizons. All right, now, yes, now it's time to discuss the benefits of digital learning for learners. Digital learning is not only increases engagement, but extends learning, in which easy access to online material is right there, which is free of cost and is also right there a click away. All right. When we further evaluate, so it gives a feeling of ownership by why? Because learners now become independent and they try on their own to finish their tasks. And now when they successfully finish their tasks, it gives motivation to them, means it increases the motivation of an individual, as the motivation enhances cognitive process and leads to more improved performance. Next, it encourages to be self-directed learners that has provided an opportunity for students to take ownership of their learning. And when we and when we come to know that they start owning their learning, so automatically productivity comes in learning process, which every educator wants in teaching and learning process. Okay. It has also brought a lot of creativity and helps to be more interactive and relevant, online sessions are also encouraging students to be open to share their views. And it also helps them to be, extroverts as well, because there is a chance to share ideas through chat box. And even after consulting through different websites as well. So those students who never share in traditional classroom environment, they share and feel confident during digital learning. And this confidence for sure will develop critical thinking skills and help them to improve in a students centered learning environment. Eventually, they develop uh, problem solving skills along with promoting cooperation and help them to be a better organizer in their academic life. So after going through all these benefits, the advantages of digital learning cannot be denied at all. And now when all these traits emerge in one's self, so there is no doubt that particular individual would become a productive individual for the society. Okay, after discussing benefits, COVID-19 is also redefining the role of an educator. So here we will talk about that how this situation is redefining the role of a teacher. All right, and when we talk about it, so it has brought an element of resilience in which educators have experienced that, the very concept of acceptance, the acceptance of change in the overall scenario. Additionally, this present situation led the educators to be flexible as well, and adaptable means not to be rigid or stiff like the situation which they had been going through would be the only situation to work. But but when there is a way, when there is a will, so there is always a way. So there are always ways to deal with and mold ourselves to work for the smooth functioning of academic activities. Then we can also talk about emotional intelligence that helps teachers face certain unusual and the stressful situation in which their actions can impact the students' learning and their well-being. So it helps them deal with the new challenges like we have in this COVID-19 situation. So if you can motivate yourself, so that can lead to the process of continuous learning, and that will never ever stop, as well in your teaching and learning process. Then it redefines the entrepreneurial skills now, which brings curiosity, and it also brings inquisitiveness to discover and to reveal potential opportunities. That means to innovate and go for some strategic planning to deal with. And when a teacher becomes, curious or inquisitive to do or to know and to discover something, um, so automatically the element of creativity and the critical thinking would come, which is all about cognitive skills, and these cognitive skills will also be, polished as well. Therefore, in this present situation, the overall role of a teacher has been redefined for further grooming and enhancement. So here, by the end of the discussion, we can say that this challenging COVID-19 situation has brought a lot of understanding amongst the teachers and helped them to get the most out of the digital learning methods for the betterment of their students. Okay, so with this, I would sum up that the importance of digitization in education plays a vital role, and it basically empowers and expands our horizons. Because learning through technology enables students to develop effective self-directed learning skills where they are able to identify what they actually want to learn. They even find and use online resources and apply that particular information, and even evaluate a resultant feedback as well. So here I would say that always take things and happenings of life positively, and always work for the best. And I also would like to say that the future of digital learning is so bright in Pakistan, because it has multiple benefits to upgrade the teaching and learning process here. And inshallah, very soon the COVID-19 crisis will end. Uh, but but the change that this pandemic, has brought in teaching and learning, practices will definitely continue as an additional tool to enrich and heighten the teaching and learning capacities in general. So, with this note, thank you so very much for listening and to be part of this webinar. And Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Tariq, once again. The audience, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this webinar was helpful to you. If you have comments, questions, and or suggestions, please feel free to write us on eteacher@evolution.com.pk. If you have done any global online course or a massive open online course with us under the eTeacher program and wish to present in this webinar series initiative, please write us on the same email address showing your interest and the topic that you would be interested in presenting on, so that we can contact you in future for the presentations. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. As always, we wish you happy teaching and happy learning.